Dr Reena here. I'm a dental specialist and founder of RW Perio, located at 75 Harley Street. Welcome to my podcast, Life and Smile, where we talk about everything dental, lifestyle, business, and much more. Every episode, I'm joined in conversation with a specialist expert in their chosen field, who give us a behind-the-scenes glimpse into their daily regime, career turning points, and an insider look at what they can't live without. As a businesswoman myself, it's so inspiring to hear how people have built their careers and shattered those glass ceilings. So let's get the conversation going. Dr. Reena here, welcoming you back, and I can't believe we are now in our 5th season of Life and Smile. For today's episode, I am, of course, back here in our Harley Street recording studio with an iconic industry insider who I know many of you will instantly recognize as the skin engineer. As a globally renowned A-list and Hollywood facialist, I'm delighted to welcome to the conversation one of the most recognized authorities in beauty and skincare. It is, of course, Adeela Crown. Adeela, I'm so excited to have you back in London and on the podcast today.
Hello. It's so good to see you. You're glowing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And you, of course. So much to talk about, but let's start from the very beginning. So tell us more about sort of those early years, starting out in your career, and then how things progress from there.
When I first started, Reena, there wasn't really even a term facialist that existed. So it was very new. There were beauty therapists or skincare specialists or nail artists, and I didn't want to do any of that. I was just obsessed with skin. So the upper part of the body, from really, can I say tits? Yes, from tits all the way up to your hairline. Yeah. That's the part of the body that I was interested in. And so when I started, there wasn't really a specific course or any kind of specific training that you could do. So most of it was really self-learning and understanding the topography, the geography of skincare industry, and understanding, okay, if I want to work on skin, I have to look at devices, I have to look at skincare, I have to look at how I can combine them both. Yes. And again, it was very much a new thing because in Europe, we are very hands-on, we're very holistic. And I thought, no, I want to work with devices, but at the same time, I don't just want to do device on, device off, device on, device off. So how is it that I can marry the two together? So early on, I just started to look at how I could work with both skincare devices and ingredients, which, by the way, today is just so common. Every person on TikTok, Instagram, social media, or someone down the road knows about retinol, niacinamide, all about vitamin C, SPFs, and those ingredient-led skincare products didn't exist. Right. So it's very, very interesting, and that's why I got so excited about skincare, because I think that it's a growing industry and there's still so much more to explore.
And what was it that kind of led to your path where you are today? What were the kind of stepping stones?
It's what we were talking about earlier. I find that my life has come full circle. I started in the world of finance. I loved it. I'm a complete geek. For me, ones and zeros make total sense. You throw me in the matrix and I think I'll feel right at home because it all makes sense to me. I think life is about balance as well. So you can apply the same concept to anything in life, right. And like in skincare too. But then when I personally suffered from really bad skin myself, and I still have some acne scarring to show for it, and still get lots of treatments done, energy-based treatments or really high-performance treatments to still treat my acne. This is 12 years down the line. But back then, it was really, really bad. So I was exploring, okay, what's available? What is it that I can do to really change my skin and get rid of the pigmentation? And where I am of Pakistani Indian origin, I scar really badly. I pigment really badly. So we're talking about very primitive type of microneedling, you know, the ones which look like medieval torture instruments from Game of Thrones, those sort of derma rollers that used to bruise me, lasers that used to burn me, peels that used to peel off half of my skin. But I tried all of those treatments and I became so obsessed. I thought, these are the most painful treatments, the most painful appointments of the month that I'm actually counting down the days to, because I'm always thinking 3 days to go, 2 days to go, 1 day to go till my next treatment. Why is it that I'm so excited about this? Oh, it's because of the change. It's actually giving me confidence as well. It's not just changing my skin. I can now lift my chin up. I can tie my hair back. I don't have to hide behind facial, other ways of hiding my cheeks or looking down and, my Posture was much better. My eye contact improved, and I thought, this is what I want to do. This is the change I want to bring to people. So that's how I started looking at cosmetic chemistry and the scientific side of things. So I didn't really take a special route to just go down the beauty school route, become a beauty therapist. I actually came more from the scientific background, which is very much in handy today, because now I look at products or skincare ingredients from a scientific point of view, from a lab rat point of view. You know, I'm a complete skin nerd. So when you apply that to treatments or ingredients, it somehow all makes sense.
Yeah, what a unique journey, and it's really lovely to see how you've then incorporated sort of the beauty world, the finance world, and then your own personal kind of experiences as well, which I think is the best test, I guess.
I'll tell you, with finance, I think what comes in handy is, look, in finance, numbers need to add up.
Yes.
Your spreadsheets need to balance. Your P&L,
Yes.
or anything, or, you know, whenever you have an equation, it needs to balance, and that's the same with skin. And whenever the skin is in imbalance, that's when we have issues. So whether it's spots or pigmentation or any kind of scarring, it's when your pH balance is impaired, which is a terminology you hear so much in skincare, that, oh, your pH is out of balance, or this toner is going to balance out the skin tone.
Yes.
Because we are constantly looking for that balance, because the same concepts of mathematics, finance,
Right.
apply to any concept of life.
I think it's nice how you said you're looking at that change in people. So it's not just, you know, you've got nicer skin, but what has that then brought to that person so they are more confident, which is really, because in dental as well, and a lot of the stuff we do with the more aesthetic side, yes, it's aesthetics, like we do people with gummy smiles, we do treatments to lift their teeth and smile. It's not just, you know, your teeth look better, it's actually the confidence you've got, and now you can go for that job interview, etc. So going one step beyond. So your red carpet Skin Suite pop-ups have featured at global events, which is so impressive, like Met Gala, the Oscars, Cannes Film Festival, across the whole global kind of fashion weeks as well. So your mantra, as you've kind of pushed across, is prevention is smarter than cure, which is definitely a useful mantra, and it's across all healthcare as well. But talk us through that a little bit more.
I don't believe in knee-jerk reactions. And that's the same, again, if we now use the analogy of body or any other concept. For example, if you're trying to lose weight, you shouldn't leave it till the point where you can't walk anymore, or you're obese, or you're a couch potato, because that's when it's going to be much, much, much harder for you. Whereas compared to someone who's constantly going to the gym and looking after their body, eating well, they'll find that they wouldn't really have that much of an uphill struggle. So it's the same thing with, and the same concept with skincare, where if you maintain on a regular basis, by the time you hit, say, your late 30s or your 40s, you wouldn't panic and think, oh no, what do I do about those deep expression lines which are there to stay? What do I do about my sagging jowls? It's all about maintenance and developing a discipline, really. So when I say prevention is smarter than a cure, I'm actually referring to a concept that I like to call prejuvenation. It's rejuvenation even pre.
Love it.
So a prejuvenation concept, in other words, is where you start taking care of your skin from a very early age. Maybe look at your mother. Maybe look at how she has aged over the years. And or if you're a man, look at your father. And genetically, there are so many markers which, unfortunately, your body will follow. And of course, there are external factors, like, you know, someone like me, for example, I travel more than my mother did. I spend my life on planes, which means that I am more prone to sun damage, radiation damage, environmental pollution, stress factors, which will affect my aging of the skin. So I have to keep that in mind. And I think if we start thinking like that, if we start applying the fitness aspect to our faces, to our bodies, honestly, I think we'll all live such healthy, happy lives.
For sure. And do you think that interest, I feel like people have definitely, you know, especially with skincare, I think dental is still a little bit behind that, but people are definitely interested in taking those steps. Yes. Have you found that a lot of your following and so on have you know, has that interest increased over time? And why do you think that might be?
I think, again, it's with education or more advancement in understanding, because like I said, 10 years ago an average person didn't know the difference between niacinamide and maybe azelaic acid or any kind of complicated ingredient that perhaps us as cosmetic chemists were more aware of, because it's something that's used in products. Aromatherapy was a lot bigger, but then the trend shifted and people thought, well, how is it that I can take control of how my skin will behave in the next 2 years' time? Or if I have a problem, how can I become my own facialist? And I think COVID really propelled that, because we were all forced to become our own facialists at home. We had to look for solutions because we didn't have access to the professionals. So whether you were into fitness and you had to think of, okay, how do I really, chisel my abs, or whether you are more into skincare, thinking, right, I still have ongoing acne issues, how do I treat it without having access to a professional? And so that's when people started looking at different ingredients. And I think if you look at Google Trends or search engine, and you'll see the hashtag self-care, for example,
yes.
on Instagram, and social media just really went up because people thought, right, I have the time, and what do I do with that time? So I'm very, very glad that instead of wasting their time and just doing silly activities or just binge watching TV, which I'm sure people did as well, they also took care of their skins. Some in a positive way, some in a negative way. Some people overdid it or just threw everything at their face. And coming out of COVID, us professionals had to deal with those issues, because people were probably using far too many actives at the same time without the understanding and burning their skins. But I feel that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it probably helped them learn quite a lot about their skins, or things not to do, or what their skin doesn't like and why doesn't it like it. So I think the awareness really went up, and it's only going to improve more and more, because I think people are now paring back a little. So I think gone are the days when people are very interested in the Korean 10-step routine. I don't have a 10-step routine.
Yes.
I'm a facialist. You ask me, I probably use 4 products in total, morning and evening. Probably switch them. But I feel that people are now trying to use less, but the less that they use, they want those few products to actually do more for them.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's so interesting. I think during COVID as well, doing dental, everything was magnified in terms of what people are looking at. I think people are doing so many Zooms, and you're looking at yourself on the Zoom constantly.
How did it work in the dental world?
So the first lockdown, all the dental practices were shut.
Yes.
So similarly, people were trying to find solutions, which doesn't always work in their
really
favour.
extract your own tooth
you
at
can't.
home.
But there are all these weird and wonderful, I don't know about wonderful, but weird stories about people trying to, understandably trying to sort their dental health out because they couldn't access. There was emergency care, but it was very, very limited. But what we did find, similarly into your industry, is people were, caring more about themselves. They were interested, obviously, in aesthetics, but they had that health-first approach as well, where they wanted to care for themselves and prevent issues. And people were, trying to get into their oral hygiene routine. So they, at the same time, if they're at home, they spent longer on looking after their teeth and gums, which was great. So I definitely think, there were some benefits during the COVID time.
I think Zoom had an effect as well, because people were suddenly, for it straight away, like looking at themselves, which from a perspective that they weren't looking at themselves before, because otherwise when do we look at ourselves? When we brush our teeth, when we apply our makeup and maybe do skincare, and then for the rest of the day you're not looking at yourself. But when you're doing these Zoom meetings back to back throughout the day, you're constantly looking at yourself. And then I think that led to some positives and negatives, because some people became self-critical as well.
So as you said, it's a balance, right, of everything.
Correct.
So you've got this unique sort of facialist journalist hybrid, which is amazing. I think it's very difficult to, as I was saying before the podcast, to be good at both those things. I find is quite a rare balance to have. So so you must have written many pieces. Any favorites so far? Any that have had like quite a huge impact?
As a contributing beauty editor for Financial Times How to Spend It at HTSI now, I have this amazing freedom to tap into my knowledge and experience and talk about topics that I want to talk about, which actually really refreshingly, the editors come to me and they say, so Adeela, what is it that you'd like to talk about for the next 6 months? Or what's trending? Or what is it that your clients are asking you? Or you work in the States, or you work in UK, Europe, even the Maldives, in Asia, what is it that each demographic from each geographical location is asking for? What's trending? What is it that the world wants? And I think my unique perspective of being an international facialist, where a long time ago I decided that I'm not just going to be boxed in the UK. I do want to work in the US. I do want to work in Asia Pacific. And that actually opened my eyes, because when I work in the US, like I was telling you before, East Coast and West Coast issues are completely different. When I'm working in New York, it's all about pollution, stress, anti-aging. When I work in LA, the first question I get is Botox, fillers, and sun damage. And then when I work in London, it's, well, mostly the same things as New York, but a lot to do with aging, stress, sagging, and Maldives, all of the above, because you have global travelers. So it's a unique perspective, and I think that just gives me the ability to be able to tap into those issues that I come across as a facialist and be able to talk about it, but now to a wider audience, an audience and a readership, especially FT readership, which is made up of, well-traveled, well-informed individuals who are savvy, who have access to absolutely everything, who have a higher disposable income, which actually makes them a little bit more picky about what they want. So it's actually been quite a journey, and I love writing the columns that I write every month.
And looking back now, so if you had to give advice to your younger self, would you have done anything differently? Or even those, because there's a big
just
interest.
One advice? Can it be more than one?
But if there was someone who was interested, and there's so many people interested now in a career in beauty, and yours being quite unique, what advice would you give them, or advice you'd give to your younger self?
It's very interesting, because I was thinking the other day that there are so many positions or jobs that exist today that didn't exist 10 years ago, thanks to the social media and thanks to the internet and the advancements in technology. For example, like a social media manager position didn't exist a decade ago. So can you imagine how the landscape will change in the coming decades? So I think the interesting thing is to be able to adapt to that changing environment in any industry. And I'm not just talking about beauty. It could be dental, like in your case, it could be finance, it could be fashion. You need to be able to adapt to the changing needs. And for that, you have to read a lot. You have to have your finger on the pulse. It just means that you have to be talking to leaders. You have to attend seminars. You have to actually expand your horizons and go attend that conference on the other side of the world if you can afford to, or save up for it, which is what I did. I used to attend the International Congress of Science, which would talk about like advancements in skin treatments. I used to attend Medica, which happens in Germany every year, where they're talking about new devices. And, maybe 20 years ago it was just boring about dialysis and stuff, but now they're talking about LEDs, and they're talking about energy devices like radio frequencies, ultrasounds, and HIFUs, and so many new things. So the moment you step out of the box in any industry, I'm just giving you the example of mine, go to those conferences, talk to those people, speak to the entrepreneurs, write those emails. They love to receive emails. I love to receive emails. And really just expand your horizon, and you'll find that the moment the landscape changes, you'll be able to adapt like a chameleon.
That's brilliant advice, I think. And I think it can often be difficult to adapt, especially when it's not something you're familiar with. But I think that's definitely makes a big difference getting ahead of the game.
It's like what you do. I mean, you have started this podcast and you're doing it so differently to perhaps any other person that I know, because you also stepped out of your box and you thought, well, I don't want to do the day-to-day. I'm assuming that was the thinking.
Correct.
That, I do want to do more. I want to share the knowledge.
Sure.
And so, but you're also tapping into what you do and then taking that concept and you're asking others, do they have a similar journey, or if not, what's
Correct.
Different, and then sharing it with the world.
It, for sure,
exactly.
For sure. So, I mean, your life sounds really, really busy, and you still look incredibly well. But what keeps you going? Because I'm just imagining now, and we'll come to your day-to-day routine
B12
and so on.
shots.
But traveling all around, and I guess with your industry and your role, you need to be on point as well all the time. So, what keeps you enthused? What keeps you motivated? Do you have like a mentor that you turn to? Are there certain things you read? But what keeps your energy high? Because I guess you've got to be 100% every day.
I've always been a ferocious reader, so a lot of my work and a lot of my research happens on the planes because that's where I spend 50% of my time. I travel a lot. Last year I took 124 flights, and this year I was just talking to my PA, and we were calculating that over the course of 2 days, actually less than 2 days, next week, and within 36 hours I'll have taken 4 flights to get to Costa Rica, because that's the only way you can get to Costa Rica, to a very remote part, which is called the Blue Zone. But that's the exciting part of my life. So what I do is that downtime, instead of just lying there and watching movies on planes, I read. I read a lot. Audiobooks. I think Audible has probably had enough of me because I download so much. And it's, I think, helped me just stay focused, and it also broadens the horizon. But when it comes to mentor, I don't think that there's just one person, but it's going to seem like a very cliched kind of an answer. But I looked at J-Lo, and I was a fan. Oh my God, I was in school, and I used to look up to her and think, oh my God, she's a triple threat. She's a singer, actor, dancer, maybe more than a triple threat, a producer now as well. And how does she do it? How does she wake up in the morning? She must wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym, and also has a family, also has a career, has to look good as well. She doesn't look shabby. She always looks put together. And I thought, that is how I want to be, but in my own field. I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't act, but I'm very good with my hands. But at the same time, would you trust a dentist who has his or her front 2 teeth missing? Or would you trust a facialist who has a face full of acne? So I think from a consumer point of view, it really instills confidence when they see someone who takes pride in what they do. And so that's the reason why I take care of my skin, because when I then talk to someone, they can trust me, and I can give them reassurance.
For sure, I think that makes such a big difference. I love your, your aeroplane. You're technically actually on aeroplane mode,
yes.
And everything else is switched off, and you get that focused time. I do find I definitely don't travel as much as you, but one of my favorite things on an aeroplane is actually just to switch off from the outside world and focus on something, reading, listening to things. It's a great time not to have interruptions. So. Yeah,
I think it's a kind of meditation, sorry. Well, medication too,
if
you want to really zone out. But meditation in a sense that, because what is meditation? Meditation is when you have your time to yourself and to your thoughts, and you can relax your heart rate, you can really focus on something in particular, whether your eyes are closed or open. And I feel that when I'm on planes, that's probably my meditation. I don't need a yoga mat. I can just sit there and I can close my eyes and I can listen to something or read something and make notes, or even just really look outside the window. There's a concept which is called the astronaut's point of view. So astronauts, for example, when they're up in International Space Station or doing their spacewalk, when they look down onto the Earth, they see no borders. They don't see individual countries. They don't even see continents. For them, it's land. And so the little itty-bitty things that, people are concerned about and are bothered about on this planet, like, say, borders and wars and things like that, those concepts don't exist for astronauts, because they just look down and think, you idiots, you have this beautiful planet. And a very rare one, because now if I look in the other direction, there's nothing.
Yes.
The space is full of nothingness. So you have this blue dot, and you have to really just focus yourselves. And so people who travel a lot tend to develop that astronaut mentality, where little problems are no longer a big issue. You can bin them, and you can focus on bigger issues and how you can fix them. And sometimes the most interesting thoughts come to me when I'm up in the air.
I love that. I've never really thought of it like that, but that is absolutely brilliant. Next time I'm on the plane, I'm going to think of that.
Yeah, think like an astronaut.
Think like an astronaut, absolutely. Focus on the bigger picture. So you've kind of alluded to it already, but I guess do you have a typical day or working week, or does it vary? How do you split your time with your writing and your clinics?
So when I first started out, I wanted to do everything all at once, which meant that sometime I was working from 6 a.m. till midnight or longer, and I was working 7 days a week, and I never said no, which was one of my biggest issues, and which is a strength and a weakness at the same time. But I think that was the wrong approach, and so I decided to change my working week. Or my working month, for example, I decided to dedicate a certain number of days or weeks every, say, couple of months to me being a facialist. That's when I'm in my facialist mode. I turn that switch on and I'm hands-on. I see my clients all over the world, so I may do a residency in London and then a couple of months later do one in New York, do another one in LA. And that's when you see me in that mode. But then I can turn that switch off and turn the other one on and dial it up a little bit, and that's when I'm a journalist. So I'm attending meetings or events or product launches, and again, learning. It's very similar to what I do with my consumption of reading. It's learning, filling my brain with everything that's new, so then I can talk about it from an informed point of view. And then I switch that off and turn another switch on when I'm a mother. So when I'm at home, I have a unique working life where I can decide how long I want to work, how much I want to work, how many weeks I want to work, and when I don't want to work. And a long time ago, I decided that I want to have such a life where when I'm self-employed, I just want to be able to choose not just what my working week will look like, but also what the outcomes will look like. And I just decided to really split my life like that. And I think now it makes so much more sense because I'm not trying to do everything all at once. I have periods in my month where I'm working, periods where I'm working as a journalist, periods when I'm working as a mother, as a wife. And I split my time between Germany and here in the UK. And when I'm in Germany, I jokingly say I'm a German Hausfrau. I iron, I meal prep, yeah. I'm super organized, and that's the kind of the side of my personality that so many people don't see.
Wow. So again, striking the perfect balance, I think, is
exactly.
key. So one question we always ask everyone on the podcast, which is probably my favorite question, is 3 things essentially that you can't live without. What's in your sort of survival kit? What's those things that you have to take onto the plane? What would they be in your case?
Again, only 3 things.
Only 3 things for this one.
Well, I spend my life in a tin can, 30,000 feet up in the air, above the cloud cover, which means that I'm more prone to UV radiation damage because the aeroplane windows actually filter out the UVB, the burning rays, but UVAs still get through. And where do we like to sit on the plane? Where I like to sit is always
by the window.
By the window, exactly. And so I have never seen anyone apply SPF on the plane, especially as diligently as I do. And I'm such an SPF militant, so I am never ever without my SPF on the plane. I always take an eye mask that, again, helps me meditate, like we touched on earlier. So it helps me zone out. It's a special silk mask, which I use, and I think it's just, it's my way of just shutting out the outside, and then I can listen to my audiobooks or my podcasts. And another thing is skincare, a bag full of skincare. And it's usually about 4 or 5 products, and there's no shame in my game. And I'm just like exfoliating. I'm asking the crew for hot towels so I can remove my mask. And,
love it.
They enjoy it as much as I do my LED mask or something. I normally take at least 4 to 5 products with me that, especially on long haul flights. Any flight that's longer than 2 hours is when I get to do my skincare.
Wow. You should do online tutorial on the plane.
It's on my Instagram. There are in-flight skincare routines,
yeah.
and we get so much engagement with that because people think, you actually did that on the plane.
I think it's a great use of time and best place to do it. So, how interesting. No, what a wonderful conversation. So much there for our listeners. I'm sure they're going to enjoy it as much as I did. It's so inspiring to see how much you've done, balanced everything at the same time, and done it so effortlessly and flawlessly. So Thank you so much for your time. I know how busy you are, so thanks for fitting us into your global schedule, and looking forward to having you back again on Harley Street hopefully soon.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
was exciting.
Thanks.